to react, do something with their small car bestseller model. This is the R line, new as a standalone line, sporty styling, high gloss black, and also this huge opening in the lower part and also bigger opening right here. So quite impressive. And it comes with LED lamps as standard now, and optional, the so-called IQ light. You see here, this is the matrix LED. And then only in the matrix LED option, you have this light strip that goes all the way across the vehicle. So also in the middle part, in the styling, as you know, also from the new ID.3. So this is really a new face. You can take a look at the pre-facelift model. We also had it as an R-line. There then you can very well see the changes. If you activate the turning indicators, it replaces the upper part then of this signature and the lower part stays as it is. And interesting also with the fog lamps in the lower part, this also forms a very cool design look then in the front. The color here, by the way, is called Reef Blue. Yeah, a true Thomas Blue as we know here on Autogefühl. Please subscribe if you haven't done so far, and also leave us a like if you liked our video right here. Wheels, these are the biggest ones, 17-inch. Usually a Polo starts with 14-inch. So the smallest base wheels, and these then here 17, 16 or 17 for the R line, here once again with the badge. And you can see here there are some black accentuations in the wheels that makes it appear even bigger. We soon also have another car for you with 17-inch wheels without the black accentuations that looks smaller. The side profile hasn't been touched. 159 inches or 4 meters 05 in length, typical small car segment with very strong design lines, and the R line also has this additional contrasting bumper in the lower area. More news definitely than here at the rear, because they also changed the lighting signature. Before that you had this element here, this side element, and it was just as it is. And now they really had some effort to split it. You can see here when I open the trunk, it's split here, you know. So one part, this here, went into the rear hatch, and the whole element now appears wider. And when you have the matrix LED option, you also have this more sophisticated lighting signature. When you hit the brake pedal, by the way, also here this side element appears. So that's definitely also a more fancy look. And in the rear then also with a cascading turning indicator. Well, I really love the line design styling here, but at the rear, at the lower end, Autogefühl, fake exhaust police, alert, clear case of fake exhaust, and I think, yeah, not necessary, a little bit pathetic. The real exhaust is underneath. That's the only thing that's disturbing me a little bit. Other than that, a really cool styling here with the R-line. As for engines, we have a 1-liter 3-cylinder engine in the base trim, naturally aspirated, 80 horsepower, or then when you have a turbocharged, in 95 horsepower or 110 horsepower. And there will also be again the VW Polo GTI with over 200 horsepower from a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine. Of course, we'll take a look at that very soon. Quite fancy logo here, you can really feel it in the B-pillar. And this is the car key, we know it with this, yeah, warrior-like folding out function for the manual fail-safe, then door closing sound. Very solid, like that. Yeah, but here at the inside of the doors, this is hard pack, we know hasn't changed. But what has changed here, the mirror control is always electric now from base version. That's actually quite nice for the customer. Then with the R-line you have this fancy entry badge right there, and also a new steering wheel in the R-line. The steering wheel itself is new. Base line would be with PU, so leather free. All others, and also when you have the travel assist, comes with the animal wrap. The R-line steering you can see here with the logo, and also overall, yeah, quite fancy styling. It's taken from the Golf, by the way. And here, soft touch dashboard is not only in the highest trim anymore, but also from the base versions. That's a good upgrade. And then the seats, you have either a base seat or this one here, the Sport Comfort seat, and this one then has more accentuated shoulder parts in the R-line with some gray microfiber, but there are also other stylings available, showing that to you very soon. It looks actually very attractive here for a small car segment. And as for the comfort, you can move around freely, you know, but at the same time you're being held tight a little bit more to the sides, so it also works for tall people. When I put the seat all the way down, still have enough headroom left. And here, pumping it up, y'all. This is then also to put it a little bit upper like this, so for a little bit more comfort. And the steering wheel, up and down, in and out, smooth function. And the thing that appears to you in the interior, and soon going to these new screens and whole dashboard and stuff, it now from the interior looks like it's a Golf. So the quality of the seats is really cool, and also safety-wise news, this has a central or middle airbag now, and it's also standard equipment, so this protects the passengers from each other. Yeah, you know, when there are discussions in the car, for example, about the music, that could be a good option to manual release it sometimes to have some more space for you. But yeah, of course, you know, what's it about? In case of a crash, you don't crash into each other. So look at that. This is the top infotainment setup, and it really looks like we're in the Golf now. That's also the intention of the facelift here on the interior. Left side would start with 8-inch digital instruments. The analog ones are gone. This is the optional 10-inch instruments, standard in the style trim level. And on the right side, you would start with a small 6.5-inch, which optional also can have Apple CarPlay and Auto. Then you would go with 8-inch screen, a little bit bigger, standard for R-Line and style. And this is the biggest one available now, new 9.2-inch on the MIB3 infotainment system platform. Soon more deals to these screens, but definitely a impressive appearance. We all know that VW had software problems recently. Here so far it makes a quite good impression. Let's dig into the details later. Then, once again, the perspective here of the steering wheel with the modern look. Left side would be to control the cruise control with the travel assist, with its most sophisticated assistance systems where you have, adaptive cruise control plus lane keeping assist, and also with capacitive steering wheel when you have that travel assist that you could just hold your hand and then the car knows you're there. Right side to control the digital instruments. And then also news for the AC unit. Most important news first, you still can get a manual climate knob in the base version. And this is then an option here with the digital AC unit where you have these sliders. You press it or slide like this. Then you have okay, I don't like it. Let's take it that way. It looks cooler definitely, but it's harder to control while driving. That's the point. 2 USB-C chargers here in the lower part. Apple CarPlay and Auto works both with cable or wirelessly. And there's an inductive charging mat underneath. Then you have this updated automatic shifting lever, pretty thick actually. Sick. And then start-stop engine button and a manual handbrake. And I really need that when I go to rally turns. So yeah, love to have a manual handbrake. Cup holders non-adaptive. This is more, simple design here. But one of the good things that VW does is they have a good attachment always here of the middle armrest, and they have some more space underneath. Now what's also new, 9.2-inch infotainment system, the top one. When you have this, then the CPU also can enable you to put the map on the instruments at the same time. This was not possible before. It is actually now, but only in the top trim with the infotainment. And then you can also have it all the way, all over the place. If it's still flickering, by the way, it's really hard to not let it flicker on camera here on the left side, but it does not for the human eye. You also have other options. You can individualize your screen right here and have different views. I usually prefer the standard views here with the round gauges, and then you can have the map also in the middle or your music and so on. Then let's take a look at the map here. It could be a little bit more responsive. This is here the VW plant in Wolfsburg. So we are here right at the main plant. Then you have these capacitive buttons. And yeah, that's probably the one thing that I don't like that much with the top infotainment screen. Apple CarPlay integration looks like this. That looks quite fancy. And we also have the optional Beats sound system in here. And for the small car segment, I have to say, sounds really quite decent. Yeah, and that's of course also a song you should add to your playlist. Let's go back to the VW menu one more time right here. This is the home menu like this. You can also go to the settings or here to the vehicle menu. There's also a visualization of the new facelifted model. And on the left side, once again, for the volume, this is not good to control it while driving. So I would rather than rely on the volume function on the steering wheel. Now the rear standard is now also that you always have electric handles here for the rear windows. That's again more standard equipment. And in the R-Line you also have the nice rear seating with the gray microfiber. So once again the seating materials are really, really cool. What about seating? This of course hasn't changed, and we are in the small car segment, but you can actually drive this vehicle here with 4 tall adults. That does work, knee room and also headroom wise, 1.86 m or 6'1", no problem. It's actually quite cozy for that. Isofix at the outsides each, you cannot fold down anything here, just at the side. This is then a 1/3, 2/3 split. And in the middle part you have 2 more USB-C chargers. Now to the trunk area. I always like to flip the logo here, and also the rear view camera is protected by this mechanism. Oh, some midgets already put our folding ruler in here. It's 1 meter or 40 inches as for the width, and about 66 centimeters or 26 inches for the length. And below that, by the way, you can also have a replacement tire if you like. So actually very well usable, and we can also fold the seats, of course, here, 1/3, 2/3 split. There we go. Well, this second studio room here looks even more like car heaven. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Sorry, I really had to go for this one. Yeah. But here the car color is vibrant violet. So there will be even more new colors for the Polo facelift. And this is the style trim level. So also a high trim. So R-Line and style will be the top trims. And then when you have the IQ light, the matrix LED, also again with the light strip that goes all the way across. Difference here to the R-Line is we have no high gloss black here, but more a matte, just matte plastic structure. But we have almost the same grille in the lower part from the form. That's interesting. Side profile and rear is pretty much the same. You can see here the side bumper is not that contrasting. And these here are these 17-inch wheels, but monocolor style. You see they look smaller, although they are not. And the style trim level here in the rear end does not go for fake exhaust tips. I think that's a better choice. This color, by the way, is not a matte tone. It just appears like this in the studio light. And here the style trim level from the inside is also very interesting. So look at these seats here. They have the same form, the upgraded form, but then a pure fabric on the interior. Also looks quite and feels sophisticated. This one would also be available with microfiber, and then it has black microfiber for the whole seating area. Also an interesting choice. Other than that, difference is that we have the 10-inch instruments, the Dilschumann standard in the style trim level, whereas it's an option in the R-Line. And if you go here in the middle part, once again with the infotainment system, by the way, as you talk about the GPS, the 6.5-inch screen does not have a GPS. The 8-inch screen, optional GPS, and the 9.2-inch screen always comes with car internal GPS. To our conclusion for the day with the new Volkswagen Polo facelift. First of all, especially in the R-Line, a fresh, sporty new styling. And if you have this matrix LED light, you also have the middle light strip, and this really adds to the styling of the vehicle, no doubt, especially when it's here in the Thomas Blue color. Yeah, it's called Reef Blue. Then interior-wise, it's a small Golf now, when you have the additional infotainment system units and so on. On the other hand, yeah, when you go for a base screen, for example, it's also simpler to use. And of course, also if you stick with a manual AC unit. So in some cases, less is more. That's what I think. If you go for the base infotainment system, the 6.5, by the way, you already get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto optional. With the 8-inch screen, you have it included, and have optional a car internal GPS. And on the 9.2-inch screen does automatically come with the car internal GPS. But for most cases, people might go for the small infotainment system and just